everybody! This week we are drawing ourselves in a self-portrait as a superhero. And it's inspired by a very special book by Jerdine Nolan called Thunder Rose, and it's illustrated by Kadir Nelson. And in this book, the main character, Rose, has some superpowers. And some of her superpowers are things that we're used to, like with Superman, we're used to super strength, and she's got super strength too. She bends iron rods together to make her own very special stick that she uses to help tame the bulls and do lots of other things. She also can control lightning, which is super cool. So she's got two superpowers. Growing up, I grew up way far away from Philadelphia in Washington State. Washington State is the furthest north and west in the continental US. So it's not quite as far north and west as Alaska, but it's connected to all the other states down here in south of Canada. And out there, I grew up going to rodeos and powwows and hearing stories about Paul Bunyan and the Raven and different folk tales around the Pacific Northwest. But one thing I noticed, almost none of those folk tales featured little girls like me when I was growing up. And when I finally saw pictures of Paul Bunyan, he didn't look anything like I'd imagined in my head. So what Jerdine Nolan did is she made a book about someone that looked like her when she was a little girl. So a little black girl with superpowers. How awesome is that? So you're gonna draw yourself, your own special folktale with your own special superhero powers. I decided, since I really miss going to the beach and I love the ocean and I grew up around the ocean, that I would like to have some superpowers where I can control water. So I'm going to show you how to set up your paper and get started drawing your own self-portrait, making it look like you and showing your superpower. All right, let's get started. Okay, when we start drawing, we always start with the head. But before we can start really drawing our self-portrait, we need to think about where the head is going to be. If I'm flying through the air, I might want to have my paper a different way so that I can have my arms outstretched like Superman. But I have decided to have water powers, and I think I'm maybe going to be standing on a wave, maybe 1 foot up and 1 foot down. So I might have to sort of plan out where my wave is going to be to start. So I've started out by thinking about where my wave is, but I'm just gonna draw a line to start so I know where to put my body. Also, it's much easier to add detail if we draw big. So I'm gonna think about the size of my head and where my wave is. I think I made my wave a little bit too high on my paper because I wanna have plenty of room to draw my body. So I'm gonna erase it and do the same line, but maybe a little bit lower down on my paper. That way I have more room to draw myself. Next thing I'm gonna think about is where my head is going to be because I don't want it to end up off the paper. So I'm gonna maybe draw my head here so that I'm still pretty big. Yeah, that'll be easy to draw. And then I'm gonna start thinking about the rest of my body. Okay, so if my body is right here, I should draw a rectangle so that I have shoulders and hips. And then I'm gonna think about my legs. When you look at Rose in the picture, she's got a knee and she's got elbows. So we have to think about how our body bends when we're doing certain things. So if I have one leg on the top of my wave, I'm gonna have 2 rectangles, and then one leg maybe is on a different wave straight behind me. So maybe 2 rectangles here. Those are about the same size rectangles. I can kind of compare them, and that's gonna be about where my things are. And if I'm controlling the waves, I might be super strong, so I might be making super strong arms. Maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe one arm goes out, and one out to the side. And then maybe I'm holding on to a tool in this hand. Maybe straight out this way. And straight up this way, something like that. All right, do those look about the same size? I think so. My head is now a little far from my body. So what I could do is make my head bigger or a different shape. Maybe I'll make it more of an oval, and then I can connect it up with my neck. and erase the parts I don't need. Artists like to start with some planning marks so that if they spent a lot of time on something, they don't have to erase it because it's not in the right spot. Now that I know that everything's about where it needs to be, I can change it from very simple shapes to something a little bit more complicated and looking more like me. Okay, so thinking about if I can control water, I might want to have some flippers on my feet. Maybe I've got flippers on my feet to help me swim in the water. And maybe I'll be wearing a wetsuit, so I might want to have my body be a little bit more curvy because wetsuits tend to, they tend to fit to your body pretty close, so I'm going to go like that and erase the parts I do not need. So now that I'm thinking about the shape of my arms and legs, I might have to make things rounder because rectangles aren't exactly what we look like. I might want to make some big muscles on my arms so I'm nice and strong. And make the shapes a little bit rounder. And erase the parts I do not need. That looks better. Yeah, so now I need some hands. Hands are tough to draw, they're really tough. So I like to think of them as mittens to start, because most of the time when we grab onto things, we grab on with all 4 of these fingers together and the thumb together. So if I'm going to grab onto a tool, I might have all 4 of these together. So I'm going to think about if I'm grabbing on, my thumb might be on this side and my fingers might be on this side. So I'm thinking about my mitten and how it might grab onto a tool. So maybe my tool will go this way, something like that. Usually, if you're Aquaman or Poseidon, you have a trident in the sea, so I'm going to have a trident too. But some of it's going off the page. And then for this hand, maybe this hand's in a fist because I'm strong. So I'm still going to think about my mitten, but my thumb's going to be on the inside, and I'm going to think about my mitten. Okay. And then I can separate my fingers out. Shoop, shoop, shoop. And shoop, shoop. Okay. Still doesn't look like me. Hair is the good trick for how to make something look like you. My hair is hitting my shoulders, and it's pretty straight. So I'm going to draw my hair like this, and almost always hair comes down in the front in some way. Okay, and then I'm going to make myself a smile. Hi, it's Miss Forslund. What's up, guys? Maybe a nose, maybe some eyes. And I'm looking pretty superpowery, pretty strong. But my legs look kind of like Gumby legs. I have a nice elbow here and a nice elbow here, but my knees kind of look rubbery. So I'm gonna make sure I have some nice strong legs too. So I need a knee, so I need more of an angle. So think about how legs look. You can even check out someone in your house. Ask them to pose for you to see how you draw a leg. Or look at a picture from a book to help you. Once you have your self-portrait drawn, it's time to add some color. I'm going to use some colored pencils today, but you could use paint, you could use crayons, whatever you would like to use for color. But as you're adding color, I'd like you to think about what you actually look like. I have brownish hair, so I'm going to think about, with my brown colored pencils, if it's close to my hair color. That's pretty close, so I'll use that. But if it's not quite close enough, like my hair has some red in it because I dye it. So I might want to add a little bit of red when I'm coloring to mix those colors together. Just like with paint, you can mix colored pencils to make them more exact about what color they need to be. Same thing with my skin tone. There's no such thing as a skin tone colored crayon or colored pencil. There might be something that's close to what your skin tone is, but you might have to change it a little bit to make it look more realistic to your skin. So you can even check it out on a different piece of paper. That's too dark for me. And keep your hand or another part of your body close by and think about what kinds of colors that you might have to mix together or how you might have to change the value. I can use the same colored pencil and go a little bit lighter, and that's much closer, and maybe add a little bit of yellow or a little bit of pink to see if I can get closer to my skin tone. It's getting there, isn't it? It looks a lot better than this color to begin with. So think about what colors make you think of yourself and try to mix them and make them the right color for you. Think about what colors you like for your costume or outfit, background. We are all different shades of brown, our skin. So it's best to start for your skin tone, it's best to start out with a little bit of brown. And then see what colors you need to add to make it closer. So I've got a little bit of pink and red in my hair. That looks more like Miss Forslund, right? And then for my skin, I had to go really light with the brown because I'm a white person. And then a little bit of yellow, right? And a little bit of pink. You can also think about what colors you want to put in your background or what kind of things that you're going to put in. I might have to have several waves because I'm riding that wave because I can control the waves in my artwork. I want to have things that stand out from my background, so maybe I'll use bright red for my flippers so that they stand out from the blue. So think about ways to make your superpower stand out from your picture. Well, I'm gonna keep on going with mine, and I can't wait to see what you create.